Hey everybody, good afternoon. How you guys doing? Good? Yes?
That works.
Well, we have a nice presentation set up for you guys. One of the most popular machines out there on the floor right now. There's a line, and I'm not talking about Safecracker, right?
That's right.
Everybody's trying to win those tokens. No, we're talking about David Bowie and Labyrinth, and we have a team here of a mixture of designers and programmers and all this fun stuff, but we're going to talk more specifically about the design and also the technology involved in the game. And I'm going to let these gentlemen introduce themselves to you, so let's learn about Labyrinth Pinball.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this is my first trip to Seattle and, Tacoma, right? This is Tacoma.
Seattle-ish.
Seattle-ish. But I gotta say, the weather here is amazing. And it's like, I feel like I'm on vacation, and I've needed a vacation. And it's really awesome to be here. It's always like this. So, my name is David Van Ness. I am the CEO of Barrels of Fun. And I'd like to introduce to you Johnny.
Hello, everyone. It's like weird to hear myself on the mic. It's my first time here, too. Most of you might know me more as Johnny Crap. This is my the name I work under. I'm from Montreal, and I did the playfield, the art blades, and the alternate back glass, which is not here at the moment. But yeah, so that's it.
You can also tell me your other work. It's okay.
I can. Okay. Well, I started in pinball with like Jurassic Park, and that's what introduced me to the sport, because like it's pretty amazing. I grew up going to arcades. Like I played some pinball when I was a kid and stuff, but like just to be introduced again like to this like awesome hobby, and you guys are all passionate, and like it really dragged me in, and like hopefully I'll be in there for a long time. I started playing in the league and all that stuff, so like I'm really into it. Like I really like it. Basically my background is I'm a merch designer. I have like a background in doing murals and stuff like that. I do a bit of everything. When basically Zombie Eddie brought me into pinball, that's how I got Jurassic Park. From there, I kept doing more Jurassic Park for Stern. We did like the 30th and the home pin. So it was a nice change of pace when like I was asked by David and his team to maybe join late in the process. Like it was already ongoing. To join, and when he talked to me about the project, like I was fairly excited. Like to be honest, like I remember Labyrinth from when I was a kid too. I had to rewatch the movie after he told me about the project, and to refresh my memory. And I'm like, yeah, this could work. Like this could work as it's a pretty cool team, and it's like it's Hanson too, and so I was pretty happy to be on board for this.
So we'll come to you in a second.
Oh, dude.
So I'm kind of curious. You're talking about you went to the arcade as kids, okay? So when I used to go to the arcade, I was more the video game kid. But do you remember what was your first pinball machine that you played?
I can't, honestly. Like I was pretty much all over the place. Like I remember like the arcade being right next to like a theater where I would go see like double features. Back then it was double features. And so like basically we had we're away from the house the whole day, and then we'd spend time in the arcade. So like I know I played some. Obviously it was like mostly like late 80s games. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Awesome. And I'd like to introduce Aaron Davis from the FAST Pinball group. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do, even though I just did.
Yeah, there you go. So Aaron Davis, my friend Dave Beecher and I founded FAST Pinball many years ago with the idea of let's make some hardware that people can build pinball machines with. I wanted to build a pinball machine, and just like everything else I do, it ends up being focused on the platform and how to recreate it and get more people involved. And so we spent a long time getting a lot of homebrew users and stuff building pinball machines, but we had designed the system from the beginning to be a commercial grade product. And so it was really exciting to get to work with David on this game because his passion and like focus on creating a great product is the kind of thing we want to support. You know, we want to be useful and helpful whenever we can. And I think this has been a really fun show because this game is a really wonderful game. I mean, watching everybody out here playing it, it's kind of like a way to show off a lot of what we do behind the scenes. You know, you don't get a lot of like excitement around control systems and stuff like that, but like it's in every one of these games out there. So being able to be a part of these kind of projects is like super, super cool.
So let's go back. Like,
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, how did we actually meet? Like
Which pinball project?
Yeah,
crossed-
who did we? I don't even remember how we met. Like how we crossed paths, because it goes back before Skip B. No, it must have been
before
Skip B.
J-pop to Skip B. I think Skip B like was the overlap with like
Okay.
the animations and stuff you were doing back
Yeah.
then. So way back, like just doing animations, you were doing good stuff. And I look at some of these projects that we've worked with over the years of independent pinball groups wanting to go and make product. Well, running a business is hard, and making pinball is hard, and running a pinball business is hard. So a lot of these false starts, you know. But we look at like, you know, some of these projects, the people that introduced us. I mean, meeting David, meeting Zombie Yeti. I mean, a lot of that stuff came through these endeavors. So it's very cool to see after all this time, we can actually be productive and bring a really great product to life. So yeah, it's been way back.
So actually, that brings me out. You brought up Jeremy, is when I was working. Sorry, this is kind of
We're just rambling
reliving
here.
life.
Yeah.
So
Story time.
When I found out I was working with Jeremy with John Poppaduke,
Okay.
and he came about. That's how I met Jeremy, because I didn't know I was working with him, but I was working with him because John would only feed us pieces of information, like the art for me to do the animation on. So when that all blew up, that's when we met, and I introduced Jeremy to you, and he did the banner that you have in your booth today, right?
We still have that, yeah.
Yeah, and that was just
was
before,
just before he got
he
hired.
got hired by Stern
Yep.
to do Ghostbusters.
I remember
All right, now
that.
it's coming back. Sorry.
Circle of life, circle of pinball life, you know?
So he would be helping companies with the board sets like
Right.
Skip B.
Yep.
And then I got put in as contract to do the animations
Right.
on Experts of Dangerous at
Yes.
the time. Right?
That game, wow.
Yep.
That was like a real
I
thing.
still have the manual. I still have the animations for that to this day.
I mean, as much as I didn't want to believe that was real, I walked up to Jamie Heineman, and he was like, "Hey, you're the boards guy." And I was like, "Okay, maybe this is real."
So that's how I met them and the board set that they were doing and so forth.
Right.
And then going back to my story, which I think everyone has heard at this point, but I went to work and did animations for Spooky, and then that led to me doing licensing, project management, and development of games. COVID happened. I took a step back from life, figure out what I was going to do, and my partner's like, "Why aren't you doing this yourself?" And I'm like, "Because it's stupid and hard and expensive." And after a series of months of him telling me why am I not doing it, I did a business plan, and it seemed to make sense at the time. Convinced my wife that it was a good idea, and 3 years later, here we are. So none of this game would exist without the team that we have. And with the artwork that you brought to life and your hardware set, we wouldn't have the game as today. So I wanted you to talk about what for example, we'll start here with the board set of what's in this game and what configurations that does and so forth like that.
So, like in the Labyrinth game, we have the entire control system. So basically, downline from the PC, the computer that's running the displays, the animations, the game rules. Where we take over is the actual the input and output, the controlling physical devices, making things move, and then taking the input of what the user's actually doing with the game. So our mission from that point on is to make sure the game is stable, reliable, and that everything that is wanting to be conveyed as the user experience, but then also be like a real commercial product, like designed to be on location, designed to be beaten to death, but also. We take the games to the test labs. We make sure they're not emitting, radio waves they shouldn't be. That these are actually designed to be in the real world. We're not kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge doing these things. Where there's a lot of pride taking these things to the labs, and we take a couple hours of time at the labs, and it turns into 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours because the lab guys are calling their spouses, going, "Hey, I'm working late tonight," and really they're hanging out with us building pinball or playing pinball machines and stuff. So we really wanted to make sure that everything that was done in any project that we're a part of is rock solid and forgettable. Like, you shouldn't need to worry about the hardware that's in these games. You should be worried about or paying attention to the stories that they're telling, the art package, the experience that's created. That's what our role is to make sure that that's all you think about. Not these flippers feel weird or this device doesn't seem to work right. Like, we can make sure that our role is rock solid and that the mission and the goal of what you want to create is well conveyed.
And then I turned around and said, you know what? We need 4 more coils. What do you think of that?
We'll figure it out, man. We'll figure it out.
So,
good problems to solve.
So they would come in, they would come down to the factory and would show them what we're doing, what we're laying out, and then they'll put their input of like, oh, that's a good idea, that's a bad idea, and just grind away where we can do it. And then, of course, Johnny is working in parallel with like the layout and the direction of it. And then I will come up and he'll do this fantastic drawing, and I'll go, well, can we move that over there? And you go,
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Thankfully, it was post-pandemic, and I think like no one knew about the company too. So like I think it gave them like some time to figure out like really how to build this game and make it like interesting. There was a lot of changes, but like then again, like at the beginning, I was just throwing ideas on the play field, and some stuff stuck, like some things like stayed in, and like the helping hands, like they were pretty much similar to the first version that I did.
Yeah, very much.
But like a lot of stuff was moving. Like it was moving. They're like, okay, now we have an engineer that thinks that like this should move. So then like every little part had to be redrawn, And the thing with like Labyrinth, the way I wanted to approach it is, it's Henson, and like it's huge. Like people know the style. We had some images that they sent us. Like David showed me to like some concepts that they had prior to me joining the team, and then we went from there. Like I explored a bit with like how I could make the drawings similar to their style of how they sketched it, like before it was in the movie. And I think I did okay. Like I figured out like brushes to use, and of course it's all digital, so I would have loved to like really put like gouache or acrylics and like really work my hand into it and pencils and stuff, but like, the reality now is like that we can't do that as artists anymore, like working in pinball, like those years are gone. So I tried to mimic that style as much as possible, like all the stones are kind of like hand drawn on the play field. I really paid attention to that, and like little piece of grass, like it's not like a brush that did 20 piece of grass at the same time, like they're all hand drawn. So I think like it adds to the depth of the like the bridge. Like people always said, like when I saw the first images, I thought it was like a 3D bridge, like an actual, like mod on it or something.
We all thought the same thing. We're like leaning down to see where the light's coming from underneath it. Like,
so like that made me happy when people were saying things like that when they saw the play field. And I was brought in like late in the process too, so like most of the art package was already done. Once I did the play field, then David asked me to do an alternate back glass, and they wanted to stay away from like having Bowie in it too. Like they wanted to shine the light on all the characters that are in the adventure. So we played with that, like we went along with the narrative of the movie. And,
well, you crushed it. So like the approach of, obviously we had Nate, who did the cabinet art that you see out there and the Bowie back glass. And he approached that just like Johnny did, is like, what would they have drawn or painted at that time? That's also the approach we took with the toys. Like if Kenwood was going to make the Kenner Toys lines, we're going to make toys for Labyrinth, what would they look like in that period piece? And that's why the sculpted toys look like they do in that game, is to make you connect to, as me as a fan, anyone that's a fan of it, that this directly connects to that nostalgia, that pull that you love of that IP. So when it came to the back glasses, we wanted a very traditional back glass. And I think you killed it, because you have, when you poll people, do you like the Bowie back glass or should you need us back glass? Pinball people always go to the should you need us backlash, because it's you got your friendly characters, you got your enemies, you got the cast in the background. That's your journey. But anyone that's a fan of Labyrinth is like David Bowie 100%. So it's really like you can clearly see the pinball people when it comes to like when I look at who's buying what, you know, you can really see who the differences in the groups.
I mean, I managed to throw Bowie on the art blade at least. Like, I was like, all right, I got my Bowie, I got my Bowie approval thing from the family or
and you
the
got the
estate
Bowie
or whatever.
hand in there as well on the plate.
Yeah, there's the hand. You know, there's like his face a bit everywhere too, like the rock face Bowie thing.
And you got Hoggle peeing in the pool.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the first thing I think I did.
Get in the right
Watching the
mindset.
movie, I'm like, I gotta put him in there, and it kind of, you know, it took him a while to see it too.
Yep.
So that was
Yep.
funny. Yep.
Was
it was
there-
like really fun to work on.
Was there anything that you slipped in there that you didn't think would get approved or anything like that?
Not
That
really.
people would see?
Not that I remember of. It's been a while since I played it. I should go play it and look at it actually up close.
Join the line.
Yeah, just get in line.
Yeah, there's always a line, so I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to cut in line.
There you go.
How do you, so I'll get asked a question. We obviously did the mirror backlash on the should you need us backlash.
Yeah.
So what's their approach towards doing that versus a traditional backlash? Is there a technique difference? And I'm just kind of curious because we really haven't shut down and talked about this stuff.
No, like I just had to know like how they print the mirror on it. Like the rest of it, like it's basically similar. There's someone somewhere that does his magic and like probably prep some files for silk screening. Like that's not my, you know, like I don't touch that. So basically I work the same way. I try to, you know, give a file that's gonna be like the colors are gonna be, you know, well balanced. That's another thing too. Like sometime I heard like, well, it's really brown. I'm like, if you look at Jim Henson, like the artwork, it's a base of orangey brown to start with, and then like colors on top, you know. So, like I think like it just fits with the theme. So.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna turn back to you because you came in and saw my masterpiece in my dining room when I was putting it together. So you got to see it in its most raw form. You got to see it in its next stage for the samples and prototypes that went out to Eric and stuff like that. And then you got to see the final piece, and then obviously the sample game you got in your booth.
Right.
So can you want to talk about the process of that journey of what you saw and stuff like that? Because I mean, you've worked with a lot of people,
Sure.
so we're kind of curious to see.
Well, I think that like what was really cool about that process is, you know, I talk to a lot of people all the time who have big ideas and grand plans and stuff like that. And it's like I nod along politely, but it's like let's see what actually comes out of that, you know. And I think this whole journey has been very impressive, I think, from the idea of like getting to know you even as a friend, to see that like, yeah, I like this guy, but like professionally, he's kind of got it together, you know, to see that like these concepts and these ideas that like you're so passionate about are actually produced in a methodical, like repeatable, like consistent way, you know. So to see, like you described the different stages that we saw things, it was like kind of getting to know you professionally. You know, we'd been friends, but then you see like, okay, so that big excited idea, you've got the bandwidth to see it through. You know, you've got your vision, and the realization of that is like real. So I think that like watching it go through those steps and stuff like that, I think that at the same time we were getting introduced to all the different people that you work with and stuff. So not only is it like, wow, I like this guy and I like what he does, but like other people are aligning behind this. Other people are excited. Other people are moving across country to be a part of what you're doing. You know, so I think that was like, that's the part that I guess if you look at the game out there, you're not necessarily seeing that, but maybe you're feeling that. There's no faking it. I guess that like every level and every step that you took with this project was like a meaningful step. And so I think that, you know, even down to, you know, you mentioned before like the fact nobody knew this was coming was a big thing. And I think that also speaks to like, you know, a lot of the support that you have in the community and stuff, because nobody wants to wreck your big reveal, you know. So there was a lot of people that, you know, had been privy to what you were doing who were excited to see it come through the way you envisioned it and stuff. And I think that that's the kind of thing that, like, you know, being able to be supportive of the project that we are is like, I want everything you can dream of to like come to life. And seeing you do it and knowing your background in like, you know, film and production and stuff like that is like, that's a big, massively complicated endeavor with a lot of passionate people that it takes to be successful there. And you've applied that to the pinball space. and brought it to life in a way that people are just giddy and giggling about out there, you know? I mean, we watch, like right now, we have a Labyrinth game in our FAST booth right now, and this was the game that we were taking to the test labs and stuff. There's no artwork on the cabinet or anything, but on the show floor, it's kind of getting called like the secret Labyrinth, because everyone's in line at the full dress one in the back corner, and then wander around the corner and see that there's another one playing. So now the lines have kind of equalized at this point, but I think that just people getting to experience all that stuff, and me seeing every step along the way of you realizing that vision has been like, it's been a cool thing to be witnessing, sir, for sure.
Okay. You guys have anything else you want to add to it?
No, like it's really nice to be here. Like I really enjoy like walking around like and playing and seeing people play like either games that I worked on, and like it's always nice to see people like enjoying them. You know, hopefully I'll be back here. Like I really like it around here. Like and people are nice, and yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's just a pleasure to be up here with you guys.
Yeah, I'll tell one other story. Like you mentioned, like, you know, having to rewatch the movie. Okay,
Yeah.
So I had to do the same thing. I know I watched it at a slumber party at some point. Was barely paying attention or something, but I think it was probably 6 or 8 months ago that I watched it, and it was my experience of watching the movie. It was like watching a movie about the pinball machine my friends are making. And it was like, oh, that's why that's funny, and oh, that's why that character needed to be there and act that certain way. So that was like, I think that the tribute you were able to play, or the tribute you were able to pay to the IP and the property, that really goes back to like from the beginning of what you said, that like you want this project to show what you can do with a property if you get access to the assets and stuff like that, that you need to do it. And I think that that's the part that really came through really well. And again, watching this film, all the little nuanced parts of the story, like, I went back to the game going, oh, I get it now.
So that was interesting because when people were asking, it was like we would naturally say, well, watch the movie and then play the game.
Right.
But what we discovered is actually it's better to play the game and then watch the movie, because now you understand the insanity why we did what we did. Because it's like, why do you have these things popping out? But if you watch the movie first, you're like, oh, this is kind of kiddish.
Right.
But what I find if people play the game and then they watch the movie, it all clicks. It's like, oh, that makes sense now. Oh, that's why that's there. So that was an interesting learning.
Well, that was you talked about, like, you know, seeing the game early on, and again, not knowing the property, you're like, oh, this character will pop out and say this. I'm like, okay, you know, that doesn't seem that exciting. But when we first saw the game revealed at Expo, okay, so it was like the whole plan of having games on the floor there, ready to be played. We were there early, setting up our booth, and when Dave and I walked by, and we see the games there, we're like, these are really here. And then watching those games get played nonstop the entire time. So we're going, we know our stuff's solid. We know it'll hold up. And then we couldn't wait till the end of the day when we waited till the end of the day. And then when they close the hall and kick everybody out, we're opening the coin door, touching coils, and be like, all right, we're good. Yeah. So it was not just like put it out there and see if the game held up. I mean, it was constant. Like,
and see kids and like families just enjoying it too. Like, and it was like the reaction was really great, and it was fun to watch. Like even people who didn't see the movie, so like they found little things cute, or you know.
When the ball drains, when most people get angry, people are getting giddy because their little head pop out and said, "Don't lose your head."
Yeah.
You know, and they just chuckle away and walk away, and it's like, oh.
Walking away from ending a pinball machine smiling is like that's a milestone. That's a feat to it.
And going back to the line. You know, like a lot of people were just going back in line to just wait again. So that was nice. You know, that was like kind of rewarding for us.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time coming.
I mean, how did that feel for you? I mean, like that was you got it out into the world there. I mean, I'm sure there's the relief of just getting there, but like to stand back and watch people have that experience. I mean, talk about that.
So
you remember anything from it?
I clearly remember setting everything up and getting everything there. Obviously, we've tested, we've done processes to make sure that we knew the game was going to hold up, but you never know in the wild. Like you ship a game, I mean, literally, I've moved a pinball machine across the room and it breaks. Yeah. You know, not because it was poorly designed. That's what pinball does. Yeah. So having 12 games there, we had 2 for backup. And not to have to pull any of those games because, I mean, there was little tweaks, bowl traps and whatnot. It was like, wow, like they actually did what they're meant to do. Yeah. And then all those got shipped all over the place, overseas and everything else, and they're still running. Yeah. Like, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because we built them to be that way. But again, it's pinball. You never know.
Yeah.
I guess Brian, my partner, he said, well, you need to, as we're driving back in the truck and just processing, he goes, well, man, like, we did good. And I'm like, yeah, but now I have like hundreds and hundreds of IOUs and we got to build it. Like, we're just like, we're not at the top of the mountain. We're just starting the climb, you know, and this wasn't just a short-term thing. This is 10 years of, we've got stuff to show you guys and we can't wait to show you that. You know, there's no resting. It's like, let's keep cracking.
Absolutely.
So.
And even still, I mean, like, you know, I talked about you witnessing that, but like your whole crew there was so excited. You know, to stand back, I mean, you work so hard on a project for so long that like you just want to get it done, but to stand back and watch the joy.
Well, you do realize half the people that join the team is like, it ain't gonna work, but I like you, Dave. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's have fun.
We had our doubts, but you know, like his enthusiasm was just like
you
so
wanted it to match.
Like, yeah,
you know?
it was just, you know. And then I showed up at the at Expo just for fun, and later in the day, I was unpacking games and setting him up upstairs, like, for the party. You know, I was trying to help. Like, everybody was, like, really pushing in the same direction. So it was, like, it was kind of awesome to see the whole team, like, just really working all together to bring it out, like, you know, and make people happy with it. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think we should turn this over to Q&A, unless you guys want to talk some more. So if anyone's got any questions, please go up to the microphone over there on my right, which is your left. So if you got any questions.
Need at least one. We're going to start pointing fingers.
What's for dinner?
Okay, we got a traveler.
All right. Got a volunteer here.
So how many shows have you had Labyrinth at?
I'm sorry?
How many shows have you had the Labyrinth at? Is this isn't the first one, is it?
So we've had Chicago, we've had Houston, we've had TPF, we've had games at Pintastic. They're pretty much every show now that they've been out there. So this is the first time. No, actually, there was one at Golden State as well, last week or the week before or something like that.
That's when Golden State was.
Yeah, Golden State.
Yep.
So, we've had them at a lot of shows, and they seem to be holding up quite well. Thank you.
Was this planted?
Oh!
Is this like a...
Hey, what?
there you go.
The king is here.
Was this planted?
I'll see you.
That's awesome.
Go ahead.
Did that get on camera? That was fantastic.
From a licensing perspective, was there any IP that you were not allowed to use?
I mean, are we talking about like Sarah and stuff like that? Are we referencing that?
Not in particular.
No. We had access to whatever we needed to do regarding just Labyrinth in general.
No guns.
And it was really when I talked to a licensor, just in generally, I talk to them about the process of what we're going to do. And if I find that we got resistance, I will always try and find a way, how can we work around that? Because I don't go after IP I'm not excited about or my team is excited about. So if I find that there's potential issues of us not being able to bring that well together, I will step away from the project. But honestly, everyone I've spoken to, there's always ways to get around what you need to do. And with Henson, working on Labyrinth, it was one of those things, the pitch was, this is the world of Labyrinth. This is a continuation of this. Because going back to my film and TV days, Jim Henson would never let me direct a film. But I got to direct a film. I got to direct a game. And the way their approach is, this is your experience in that world. And that was always how this was going to be. So there was no licensing restrictions. I mean, when you're doing licensing, there's always third-party licensing, so the music is always separate, and there's multiple facets to the music side of it. You've got publishing, you've got mastering rights. There are likenesses rights as well. So there's lots of little facets that you've got to deal with.
I see.
And like for the artwork, like we didn't get any pushback on anything. Like basically,
No.
Like I did the artwork. They're like, looks great, and like I'm like, okay, nice. So,
I was the person that was saying, move that here.
yeah, no, like we moved stuff, but we didn't change. Like, we didn't have to remove anything or add anything. Like we just,
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. The Goblin King has returned. I will. I'm sorry.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Aaron referenced many of the kind of false start projects. What gave you the confidence or the hubris to know that you could pull this off so well?
Me or him?
I guess both then.
I mean, I think that we've been confident in our hardware platform, and I think that we like the challenge of what big idea do you have that we think we need to pull off in pinball. I think that the kind of support we want to give to companies building pinball is make the game you want to make, don't worry about how to pull it off. And so I think that being able to see everything that they did, even with the animatronics and all the things in there, all of that is what we want to see in pinball. So as we design a platform, it was we shouldn't be limiting creativity. It's push every limit possible. And so I think that was where this project was really cool, because it was using, servos for animatronics and stuff like that, doing a lot of things with lighting and stuff. It was really a good use of a lot of what we do. And I think that that's why I like the challenge of big thinking, big visionary ideas that are grounded in we want to bring this to life, So that's for us, as the FAST guys, is we'll jump in and help out wherever, and then step out of the way and hope that you don't need us anymore. If we set things up right, you should be able to train your team on how to use what we produce and then run with it, But if you get that call where it's hey, we want to make this thing do this. I want to take these magnets and do this wacky thing with it, but we keep popping fuses. We're all over that. The ability for us to jump in as an extension of what the base platform is, and then bring that crazy, wacky idea to life, that's the fun part, Just making the foundation stable and reliable should be a given, So I was confident in it. I love the challenge of all the ideas that you guys have, and look forward to see what you do next.
So am I. Any other questions? Me? About
the false starters confidence.
I had no choice. If I failed, I wouldn't have a wife. So there's no fail. This is make a plan, follow the process, and continue that. And I will tell you, nothing is perfect. You just have to be ready to pivot. Okay, this happened. All right, well, I can cry over spilt milk, but it's not going to solve anything. It's who do I have in my weaponry to turn this around where I need it to be? And that was probably good fortune with my film and TV production. When you're making a film, it's not just a director and actors. You've got a team of people behind the camera, a team behind the electrics, teams behind the costumes. You have a whole team to do this. It's hundreds of people, right? And they're all working to do what you can. No one sets out to make a bad movie. They make the best film they can. Yeah. What potentially makes a bad movie is the situation you're making it under and the stresses that happen on a day-to-day basis. Example, the best part of filmmaking is writing a film. Second best thing is doing the pre-production, because anything is possible. The worst part is first day of production, because as soon as you hit that set, something's gone wrong, and all you're doing is problem solving for the rest of the shoot. It's just a fact. The next best thing after that, now you get to cut and get to relive all the mistakes that happened in production. And now you just got to creatively solve it in post-production. And then that's what the final product is. And if you have a great team behind you that you can trust, it's going to be great. And so I may have told, I apologize because I tell a lot of stories, so I don't know where I told this one. So 10 years into my career as in filmmaking and television, I was the typical young filmmaker that I have to be behind the camera, I have to do this, I had to be in control of everything. I had a very difficult actor on set, and I had to deal with him. So I literally had to tell my DP, can you just take care of what you need to do? And I need my makeup people, I need everyone to be the head of departments, do what they need to do while I deal with the situation. It was probably one of the most stressful projects I've been on. It turned out to be one of my best projects I ever did, because I empowered the people around me to be better than me. And that was I get goosebumps thinking about it right now. It was the best project I'd done because I empowered the people around me to be the best they could be. So from that lesson, my career got better. Then I decided that I wanted to get back into pinball, and I got to work with amazing people. I had amazing experiences, good and bad. but I got to see all these amazing people do different things in different parts of their career. So when I finally stepped back from everything, and I've worked in the service industry for 25 years, I wanted the opportunity to empower the people that I knew that did amazing work and let them do what they can do. And that's what Barrels of Fun is. It's a collection of amazing people doing amazing work. And I would not be here if it wasn't for the team. And we're not stopping.
Dude, they believe in you, man. Like it's something that I loved witnessing. You know, I mean, we cross paths at shows and things like that, and I think that like the way that you've led this crew and inspired this crew, it's like they want to work hard and create great things for you, and that's something that like as a leader, like kudos, man. Like to be able to do all the hard work and create the opportunities for these people to do great things, like that's a great feat, you know. And I think that's the basis for everything you want to do as a company. So it's pretty badass, man.
Knock on wood for game 2, 3, and 4.
There you go.
Any other questions? I've been up here longer than 10 minutes that I promised the guy in the back, so. All right, well, I want to say thank you for coming over and listening to us talk about Memory Lane, and we'll see you at the lines, and let's play some Labyrinth together.
Thank you.